So hi everyone. I don't know if you can see me.
Hi, Jahan.
So we will start. Hi everyone. For the one who don't know me, I am Jihan Shahla, in charge of managing QOOT Cluster. I don't know why I cannot put my video on, so you can see my face also. So I will retry. So now we have with us about 46 participants. Thank you all for putting your mic on mute. So during this webinar, only the presenter will be talking and sharing his or her screen. Presentations will be registered and shared with you later on. So you can all hear me?
سامعينك.
Okay.
وشايفينك.
Okay, great. So first, thank you all for joining this webinar today. It is our second webinar organized by QOOT. As you may know, QOOT is organizing like monthly webinars where we host different keynote speakers and we tackle different topics related to the innovation in the agri-food sector. QOOT is Lebanon first agri-food innovation cluster. It was initiated by Baritech like 2 years ago, officially launched in last February in 2019. And it is with the support of the Dutch embassy. QOOT now includes more than 40 members of SMEs and large companies from the agri-food sector, working all together to accelerate their innovations. For more details about QOOT, I'll put now in the chat room the link that you can visit. And if you're not part yet of QOOT, you can check this link and know more and see if you would like to join our initiative. So for this webinar, I will try to share the agenda with you. I will try to share my screen to go through the agenda. You can see it? So our today's agenda, we have the pleasure to host our 3 keynote speakers. First, Dr. Rodrigue Bal'a, who's the chairperson of the Department of Agriculture, Islam Faculty of Technology at the University of Lebanon. Dr. Rodrigue will be talking about the industry academic partnerships, which is an approach to accelerate the innovation. Then we will have Mr. Jimmy Ghazal, who's the founder of MindLab, and he's the senior executive advisor for Le Charcutier supermarket chain. Jimmy will tell us more about the consumer behavior in light of our current economic situation. Last but not least, we'll have Nadine To. Ms. Nadine, she is a SME and Partnerships Manager at Palladium. She will talk about the SME grant opportunities with LEAP UK 8 program. She will give us an overview on how SMEs can benefit from this opportunity to overcome the economic situation. And at the end of the presentations, we will have a Q&A session on slido.com. So if you please can open on your devices slido.com, then you can insert this number, which is 63261. And here you will have the possibility to pose all your questions throughout the presentations. And we will make sure that the presenters will reply to your questions at the end.
Jihan, what is the code?
You can see my screen?
I can see you.
Ah, okay. So it's the 63. I'll put it on the chat room also. So 63261.
Okay, thank you.
And also I've put a link earlier in the chat box, also to a direct link where you can go immediately to this platform and pose your questions there. All right?
Okay.
So for now, before leaving the word to Dr. Rodrigue, I will leave the floor to QOOT Vice President, Mr. Youssef Rifai, who would like to share with you some notes about QOOT. Youssef, the floor is yours.
Yes, hi, hello, good morning, everyone. I would like to thank you all for joining the session. Guests and speakers, my name is Youssef Rifai. I represent Al-Rifai Roastery as a member and as being a VP on the board. I will be brief and explain a bit about QOOT. Basically, our cluster brings together and unite small, medium, and large companies that are in the agri-food business and that seek innovation on a daily basis. This matchmaking between companies, and to add as well that we partner with different universities in Lebanon, such as AUB, USG, Balamand, and the UST, to enable these companies to benefit from their R&D department and to facilitate and to nurture the birth of new projects. I would like to add even that we help members get access and information to the different funding programs and resources available in Lebanon. Why focusing on innovation? Because it's the drive, it's the fuel that will bring higher efficiencies, higher output. It will maintain, if not enhance, the quality of all the products, even the processes. Our roundtable meet, if I may say, meet on a regular basis, on a regular monthly basis, sharing ideas together, sharing best practices, new processes, linking these different dots can only help the sector in general and can only push and promote Lebanese agri-food product locally and internationally. So even during this crisis and the pandemic that we are facing right now, it's going to be on the short term, it's not going to last forever. So even QOOT and all its members, we are trying to find ways to overcome the situation, to unite together, to help ways to find new ways how we can help each other, share our resources, and of course help this whole industry in general. So this is as an introduction as QOOT briefly. Again, I would like to thank all the panelists and all the guests that joined. Jihan.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Youssef, for this introduction. So now we move to Dr. Rodrigue, and we just put the slido.com and the code in the chatting room. Thank you. Dr. Rodrigue, the floor is yours.
Yes, hi Jihan, hi everyone, fellow panelists and attendees. As always, it's a pleasure for us to collaborate, since we are firm believers of the importance of coordination and collaboration between academia and different agricultural value chain stakeholders. I'm going to start with thanking Jihan for all the work she's been doing to set up this webinar, for Shaheen as well for the technical support, and of course all of QOOT and Veritech's team for the wonderful job they've been doing. A big thanks as well for my fellow panelists, my fellow speakers, Jimmy Ghazal and Nadine To. I'll be looking forward to hearing your insights, and looking forward as well to meeting you face-to-face eventually. So I'll be sharing my screen, and will start my presentation to share with you the results of our collaboration with QOOT, knowing that the MOU has been signed in less than a year ago, and a lot of work has been done since then, and we're certainly looking forward to more work in the future. So I'll be talking about the collaboration timeline with QOOT, and I will talk about two categories of collaborations, which is the first one, the applied research, and the second, the innovation we've had. In the fourth part, I will talk briefly about the current crisis we're facing and the even worse crisis that we are expecting to come. So we'll be talking about the challenges, but as well about the opportunities that will be provided to us, and we'll finish with a few recommendations for the future. So in June 2019, the MOU was signed between QOOT and the University of Balamand, but of course, a lot of collaboration has been taking place between the University of Balamand and the Beritech on different levels, especially through the Agri-Tech program. In September 2019, we have launched two collaboration projects with two QOOT members. So the first one is with SMLC, Société Moderne Libanaise pour le Commerce, which is Pepsi, and Brasserie Almaza. In January 2020, we have closed a project which we have done with Robinson Agri. It's all about innovation. We'll be talking about it in a minute. So about the collaboration with SMLC, the challenge is that there's a problem with the packaging material. So both companies, SMLC and Almaza Brewery, were aiming to decrease as much as possible their ecological footprint. So for SMLC, they were trying to decrease as much as possible the consumables packaging, transportation materials, etc., etc. And moreover, they are aiming to use more recyclable and biodegradable materials. From the UOB side, the team is still formed of three people. So the student, Ms. Marlene Boutros, from the Faculty of Engineering, Chemical Engineering Department, who's preparing her master's thesis. They started in the recent spring semester. The advisors are Dr. Rima Manni from the Chemical Engineering Department, Faculty of Engineering, and Dr. Sabine Saba from the Issam Faris Faculty of Technology. So far, the status of the project is that they have finished their full literature review. They have also set the methodological scheme, which is completed. The next steps, within a couple of weeks, they'll be meeting with Mr. Shadi Khouri from SMLC, and for him to provide them with data to be used to achieve the life cycle assessment modeling. The deliverables will be provided at the end of the fall semester in December 2020, and it will include the determination and full analysis of life cycle environmental impacts of two different types of packaging. Concerning the second project with Almaza Brewery, the challenge is to collect the yeast or kiselgur and sludge, which are resulted from beer production, which is around 24 tons per year for each of them, and how we would be able to use it in fertilizer, cosmetic products, etc. From the UOB side, the student is Mr. Joseph Fouri, also a chemical engineering master student, and the advisor is Dr. Henry Zachem, Faculty of Engineering, Department of Chemical Engineering. So the major findings were the possibility of the disposal of spent grains to be used in the paper industry. They have collaborated a bit with Mimosa and the use of spent grains in animal nutrition, especially for monogastrics, which are porks and chicken. The thesis defense will take place the next month, May 2020. Now, these were two projects that took place in the applied research part. In the innovation part, we have just closed a very interesting project with multiple partners. So the partners were, of course, the University of Balamand, and the project was also financed by the European Union, managed by Expertise France through the PSDP project, the Private Sector Development Program, implemented by Fairtrade Lebanon, and the training and the equipment were provided by Robinson Agri, who is not only part of QOOT, but also Nadine, the COO, is the president of the QOOT cluster. So the action was to set up a 370 square meter smart nursery for seedling production in the Akkar region, in the Akkar campus of the University of Balamand, in collaboration with the Department of Agriculture of the Essam Faris Faculty of Technology. The action would also included trainings for agricultural students and different beneficiaries, which was provided by Robinson Agri. The results was first providing nursery services for the cooperatives in the Jume region, because until now there is no nursery who can provide seedlings for the cooperatives over there. And secondly, to provide a training platform for students, not only for agricultural production, but also for smart agriculture, which is our main target currently and within the coming 5 to 10 years. It also provides an experimental platform for researchers and students. What's really interesting in the Essam Faris Faculty of Technology is that there are different departments, including mechatronics, telecommunications, and there are many projects that are being done in collaboration between the different departments in the direction of smart agriculture. Now, what's really interesting is, of course, the project and its impact, which is immense for the region. But what's really important is the quality of the different partners. So we have from one side the academia, which is University of Balamand, Essam Faris Faculty of Technology. From the industry, we have Robinson Agri. From the civil society, we have Fairtrade and different cooperatives from the Akkar and Jume region. From the public sector, we have the municipalities, and it was all within a knowledge economy, which is smart agriculture. This is an example for the success, for the possibility of success of the quintuple innovation helix framework. So what is really important is not only that we have succeeded in setting up such a project, but what's even more important, that we have proved that in Lebanon, it is possible for the quintuple innovation helix to succeed. This is a very important experimental part, especially that it took place in a very rural area in the Akkar region. So this is also part of the University of Balamand mission to spread the development, to spread the innovation all around the country. Now, for the fourth part, I hope I'm not taking too long. So for the fourth part, it is no secret from anyone that we're living very difficult times. Okay, we have an increasingly difficult challenge with the depreciation of the monetary value and the economic crisis, as well as the COVID-19 crisis. So we are living a very difficult situation, and as we all know by now, the worst is yet to come. Normally, this would be very gloomy and this would be very pessimistic. But as we all know, wherever there are challenges, there are also opportunities. So I will be looking with you at the different challenges and the opportunities that they will be proposing, and how academia would be able to coordinate or to collaborate with the industry and other agricultural value chain stakeholders to take advantage of these opportunities. So the first challenge is the complex financial situation. We have, as we all know, a daily monetary devaluation. So on the other hand, this presents an opportunity. As you all know, when we have a weak monetary value, this means more possibility for export. So this is very important for us to start to change a bit our mindset into producing products with agri-food products with added value to be exported to export markets. This way, we can take advantage of the situation. The second challenge is the increasing value of the dollar versus the Lebanese pound, its impact on the input costs at all levels of the value chain, for seeds, for pesticides, fertilizers, packaging material, at all levels. However, this is an excellent opportunity for local producers to start depending on local production, because the increase in the cost would be very important and very positive for the local production. So we can start by producing our local seeds, by using global gap good agricultural practices in our production, composting to produce our own fertilizers, vertical farming to produce our own feed, and help the local industry to provide new equipment. The COVID-19 negative impact on donors. As we all know now, most of the countries all around the world have provided support for their local businesses. So there will be not a lot of support available to countries in need like Lebanon. However, this is very important because it will allow the municipalities to exercise the decentralization. So it would increase their collaboration between them and their local communities to provide better job opportunities, to provide better use of the available lands. It's very important to know that we are and we will be experiencing consumer behavior changes. I think Jimmy would be able to talk to us about that a bit more. So mainly, the consumers are now concentrating their consumption on basic products. This is very important for the agricultural value chain to understand. It's important that we pivot in the same direction to produce as well the basic products for the local consumer. We already have this problem with the increasing unemployment rates, especially for youth. This is very important for us to provide support for the youth and increase their interest in the agri-food production. Okay, and you have experienced that within the clean tech and agri-tech programs, and the interest of students and professors as well in setting up startups. There's a great risk over vulnerable communities. We talk about especially low-wage workers. So this is also important for us to produce essential food items, okay, like wheat, like peas, etc. This is very important for now because it will allow us to look more and more into cultivating the unused lands within municipalities or other institutions. The final challenge is the sanitation disruption that could take place within the value chain. So, as we all know, there are more and more actions that are being taken to guarantee the sanitary level of the value chain. This will have a positive impact on the protection of the working people in the field, which could not necessarily have been taken place before the crisis. Now, we have three major recommendations for the future, for the collaboration between academia and industry, especially the agricultural value chain. So the first one is to support the transformation of the agricultural value chain needs through relevant research and development, which means, in other words, that we as academia need to collaborate more with the private sector to provide solutions to the agriculture sector or the agri-food sector through projects that are being undertaken by our students and their advisors, such as the experience we've had with Almaza and Pepsi at the University of Lebanon. Support or provide innovative solutions to think about finding innovation in our approach, because we have different agri-food challenges now, which are to provide self-sufficiency at a certain level. The last recommendation is to start an adaptation of the courses to prepare the graduates within the coming 5 to 10 years. I would say even more, the 10 to 15 coming years, to help providing self-sufficiency within the framework of circular economy, which is to decrease as much as possible the environmental footprint of productions. So I hope I didn't take a lot of your time, and I thank you for your attention. Jihan?
Yes, thank you so much, Rodi, for your insights. It was quite an interesting presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Now I want to remind all about the possibility to pose questions on slido.com. And Dr. Rodrigue will make sure to answer your questions at the end of the presentation. Now I will leave the floor to Mr. Jimmy Ghazal.
Hello, Jihan.
Yes, Jimmy, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Okay. There we go. So, hello, everyone. Thank you for attending this session. So, today I'm gonna talking from a different point of view. I'm gonna talking about the consumer behavior and the brand experiences. So let me just share my screen. Okay. Okay. Is my screen visible to everyone?
Yes, perfect.
All right, perfectly. So, okay, that's it. So basically, technically being in Lebanon, we have two topics to discuss. It's the economy and the coronavirus and the COVID-19 impact on the economy. So globally, I think everyone in the world is witnessing the impact of the COVID-19 on the economy. Well, in Lebanon, we have a double impact. So we're gonna start with the COVID-19 impact and then link it to the economy, because it's a double impact on the same, scale, on the same direction, but on a bigger scale. So basically, one thing we are noticing is that there's a new normal. And again, I'm always talking from a consumer behavior and from a brand experience. So there's a new normal, and there's a temporary is becoming the standard. So basically, how did COVID-19 impact the economy and impact our behavior? Something changed in our environment, something changed in our behavior, and it's not gonna go away anytime soon. I hope it's gonna go away anytime soon, but the impact will remain for a big amount of time as we go. So basically, we have new terms, we have new standards, we have new criteria that we're implementing and that we're repeating all the time. And one of them is social distancing. And it's something that is here to stay, and it's not gonna go away anytime soon. So every one of us will have to do something to minimize social contact. And this will affect businesses as we go, and it's affecting businesses as we speak now. So as you know, most businesses rely on people coming together in large numbers, like schools, supermarkets, restaurants, cafes, nightclubs, you say it. Most businesses are relying on people coming together and on social proximity. So all our consumer experiences or our behaviors are built around that, or our business models basically are built around that. Even tech companies like Uber, like Lyft, Booking, they require social proximity at one point in time. You know, we can't get an Uber, use Uber unless we ride in the same car with the taxi, the driver himself. You know, we can't book a booking online for a hotel unless we travel. We go to the airport, you know, ride in that airplane, and then go to the hotel, which is not running now. So proximity, everything, all our business models were built around proximity, and now we're looking at something that's ripping all of this business model as we speak. So basically, we are left, you know, with two scenarios. It's either we adapt or we die out. And die, we don't need to take it all the drastic term, you know, as in dying out physically, but businesses will die out. They will be, you know, drained out, cashed out, you know, so all of this will affect the performance of the business. So either we adapt, we, you know, implement social distancing, we implement our online services, where, you know, be it an online service, the delivery services, we operate under certain hygiene criteria, you know, implement masks and gloves whenever people enter in, for example, in a supermarket. We either do that or we face, you know, extreme hardship as we go. So, but, you know, as Rodrigue mentioned something, you know, in every, you know, with every crisis, there's an opportunity. And now COVID-19 is technically can be looked at, you know, one of the biggest disruptors to businesses. Of course, in a negative way. I'm not giving credit to that bad virus, but, you know, it's also made a lot of companies, it made a lot of industries, you know, move beyond their traditional businesses. So we can call that virus, you know, as the chief innovation officer for most companies, because it pushed a lot of companies to go online, to adapt, you know, online services, deliveries, online platforms, you know, all of that. So it kind of gives them that push, and even, you know, find ways to interact with their audiences. So basically, I've taken this slide. It's from hbr.org. You can find it online. But, you know, it's a good slide because when you look at traditional disruption in innovation, you know, there's always a curve, a trajectory that is soft, where companies try to push with innovation, with disruption, to push their performance in order to move up and increase, you know, increase profitability and increase higher market share. But with COVID-19 and with the current crisis, you know, that trajectory kind of became more vertical, and it became extremely more steep as we are in the crisis. So on one end, it's extremely costly. It's extremely using lots of resources to implement even the smallest tactical, you know, operations. And for larger companies, it might be somehow costly but doable, but it's challenging a lot for smaller and smaller businesses. So, you know, from the cost, from the operation, from the technology, it's challenging a lot for the smaller or medium-sized businesses. So that's why, you know, it's a steep trajectory, and it might, you know, lead to draining that business out and not being able to overcome, you know, the current crisis. So basically, even though we are in a crisis situation, it's always about the customer. It's not about the technology. Although we're in a tech environment, we're talking technology, we're talking about this, it's always about the customer. So we need to always meet customers' expectations. We need to meet our audience's expectations. And sometimes they're met in the traditional way, and sometimes we need to go, you know, to the extremes ends of the earth to meet that expectation. So one thing we've learned from the crisis is that every company, you know, we've always looked at crisis management and building crisis model, but it was all about reputation. Now every company needs to develop, you know, a crisis model, a plan to operate in normal operation and in times of crisis, so that they're always meeting their customers' objectives. Okay, so we need to adapt our offering to complement the consumer's need. So if a customer can't reach you, we have to go to them. You know, I'm looking at the supermarket models because I work with supermarkets as well. I consult to them. You know, most supermarkets didn't build on delivery services, but now it's part of their offering, you know, to deliver products to the consumers, to their audience's houses, because some people are too afraid to go out of their houses and, you know, due to the virus. So even building online platform, creating their online platforms, you know, it's just made everything go a lot faster. So products, brands, companies, you know, even personally, we've transformed ourselves to match, you know, current experiences. You know, in a normal situation, we'd be sitting in a large conference room, talking face to face and interacting. You know, it's kind of funny. It's not being able to see the people's faces at the end of the screens. So, you know, we have to adapt. It's part of, you know, the adaptation process. And we need to remember one thing, and this is what some smaller brands face. You know, it's not the lack of products that hurts the business, it's the lack of customers. And in times of crisis, we need to make sure we build on hero brands. We need to build on, you know, products that deliver results. And we might need to take, you know, some drastic decisions of letting go some products. And, you know, I believe some people have here in the audiences have brands that have multiple products inside them. So they might need to, you might need to relook at your deliverables, you know, and decide, you know, during this crisis or for the coming year or so, maybe out of my 5 products, I'm gonna put all of my efforts and resources to build on the 2 most performing items, because it's about survivability and not just about you know, the ego of the brand. Ego of the brand can be recovered, you know, but the business cannot. So basically, we're repackaging ourselves from a product to a customer relevant product. I'd like to take a look at one case study, which is quite amazing. You know, if you're into cooking, and I love watching cooking shows, and I love good restaurants. So there's a famous chef, it's called Cyril Lignac. Cyril is really famous in France, and you know, his restaurants are always crowded with people, and you have to book ahead of time to, you know, to get a seat. But today, you know, restaurants aren't working. You know, people can't go to the restaurants. So he kind of started the live cooking show with his fans on Instagram, and it was kind of a first for famous chefs, really famous chefs. But this became extremely popular. You know, he has like 2.5 million viewers. Even MC's channel started broadcasting his live streams with guests all around, you know, from all around France. So, you know, he kind of maintained his reputation. He created bonding with people, even though he's not monetizing like he usually does in his restaurants, but he kind of created this brand affection and brand continuation for his name. So it's really a beautiful case study, and then I advise you to watch this guy. He's amazing. So another thing companies need to do is to take measures. You know, companies that don't take measures will fall behind, especially in times of crisis. So adapting your products are not enough. You need to constantly take measures, because you need to ease the consumer's mind. If people don't believe you, if they are not convinced that you're doing everything you can, they're not gonna continue implementing, you know, their continue supporting you. And usually losing a customer in times of crisis is really hard, and most probably that person will not come again, will not be, you know, come back again. So try to maintain, you know, your business, trying to maintain your services, because, you know, it's hard to maintain customers in times of crisis. Another thing we've realized all is that, you know, for the past few years, we've been living a mobile life. It's all about mobility. We've been preaching mobility, you know, taking business everywhere. But now something, you know, kind of reverse happened. It's about lack of mobility. So now we've switched from mobile life to a static life. So being quarantined inside our houses, changed the perception and functionality of a home. Our behaviors shifted from just, home to now work, play, connecting. It depends on the times of the day. So today, we're in a conference mode. In a bit of time, I'll be chatting with my friends. Then I'll be, doing my classroom online. So home is the office, the house, the restaurants, the pub, the school, and technically everything else. So, but this created something, we have lack of mobility, we have more lack of dependency on third-party services that we used to do outside the house. So we're now remote workers, students, and teachers. And if we look at that, this created the return of something that we took for granted for the past few years. It's the desktop. So globally, we've seen rise, in the usage of desktop, laptops and desktops. So since we are stuck in one place, in our homes, our primary connection with the world is that screen. So why do we want to be stuck with that small screen if we can have a big, comfortable screen than that of the smartphone? And if we look at some of the stats globally, this is from SimilarWeb and Atopia, we look at even at the platforms that have mobile apps. There's an increased rise in the usage of desktops. For example, with Facebook, this is back in late Feb. Facebook has an increase of 27% use on its Facebook.com, the desktop version versus 1.1% on the app itself. Netflix as well, 16%, YouTube as well, 15%. So we noticed that there's an increase on the desktop experience. We've been hearing a lot, the term content is king. True, content is king. But today, in the current crisis and in the current economy, in the current everything, video is king. It's not just content, it's video content. So we're sitting at home, we have practically less things to do. So video is more relevant than ever. So be it for entertainment, learning, or communication. And again, we look at platforms such as Zoom, Google Classroom, Cisco, Teams, every other platform that delivers video content. There's an increase. We're here in a Zoom on Zoom. Every platform that delivers video has a surge, an upward surge in the usage, and noticeable that sports, even viewing such as sports like ESPN.com or any sports platforms have, drastically gone down, while entertainment and gaming, especially gaming, has surged up. Of course, because there's nothing new to watch in sports, so people are going into entertainment and interactive content. All right. There's also the rise of creativity, talent, and experimentation. Of course, people have more time on their hands due to the lockdown. They're experimenting, they're learning, they don't want to go out, they're trying to save money. It's not just that they have nothing to do. Probably they can't go out. Probably their businesses are in lockdown. Probably, I'm an Uber driver, I'm a taxi driver. I can't go out, for the risk of my health. So we're in our houses, we're either locked down because we can't go out, or we just can't afford to do anything or even to go shopping. So we're trying to save money. People can't find what they want and are improvising. Hence, we've realized there's a rise in the do-it-yourself at home. So people are experimenting, are trying to do stuff at home. They're experimenting even with cooking. They're cooking their bread. They're doing lots of baking at home, sweets, everything else. They're experimenting And you even can see that, even at the shopping aisles in supermarkets. I'm not talking about the rush to basic equipment, basic material, but you kind of see the interaction with the experimental stuff that people are trying to cook or create their own stuff at home or do it themselves at home, just because they want to either learn something new or, of course, save money on the go. And of course, the hobbyists, people who are learning new stuff. Unfortunately, every crisis comes with impact, and we need to brace for impact. We're in a crisis like we've never seen, and I'm not just talking about COVID-19 issue. I'm talking about the economic crisis that we have. So companies today need to create plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D, every plan they can get, because technically there's not, either or. There are so many scenarios, there are so many situations, and every day, we're discovering something new. So practically, and I'm talking about big companies today, big companies cannot plan, a week ahead of time. We can't even look at projections, 3 months down the line. We're just looking 10 days ahead of time, due just to everything that's happening around us. Okay, so in here, the chief economist for the IMF, they're projecting, extreme conditions. So in terms of behavior, availability is the new want. So basically, the crisis caused the whole world to shut down. And in here, I can go back to what Rodrigo was saying. We need to export. Definitely, we need to export, because we're a country that is built on importing. All of everything we do is built around importing. Hence the higher prices, hence everything that we're facing now. So, and with the crisis that's happening now, countries are shutting down, even countries that we depend on, for example, like India, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, that we depend on for rice, for example, they've shut down their exports. So this will affect, our economy and affect, our stocks as we go. So, people are settling down for what they find instead of what they want. And we've realized also that no brand is the new brand. People had loyalty to brands before, but nowadays they could care less about the brand itself as long as they get the product they need. So it's about finding your product, not necessarily your brand, at least for the time being. So this is actually a major alarm for major brands that are becoming more expensive as we go. Something should be done to recover, their lost audiences. Of course, in a bad economy, cheaper is always better. Again, because people, have lost their income, they lost their jobs, so they're looking for the most affordable and available products out there. I want to switch a bit from the user per se to the entrepreneur, because in times of crisis, we need people who can lead with certainty. These are uncertain times, and the least thing you want to do is actually be hesitant, especially in front of your teams, whether you run a small team, you run a small business, or a big team. You need to be certain, you need to lead by example, even if I understand that most people can't project what's coming, but these are the times where you need good leadership skills. And in here we can look at the New Zealand's Prime Minister. I think she's described today as one of the best leaders in the world due to her effective communication, bold, clear, honest, and compassionate messaging. She did a great job. Every country in the world is struggling with communicating the corona and the virus and, grabbing the hold of the whole crisis. She did it. She got excellent feedback with the people. She got, You know, they were extremely cooperative, and, you know, they flattened the curve in no time. So leadership is important in crisis more than ever. Unfortunately, in crisis, we, you know, face lots of tabloid headlines and fake news. These affect, you know, the consumer behavior. You know, if people say, you know, bakeries will close down, people will rush to buy bread. When they said, you know, they're locking down and supermarkets would close last month, you know, people rushed and they've just emptied the shelves. This is unhealthy. This is unhealthy behavior because it will affect, you know, the prices. It will affect the availability of products. So let's really examine our headlines. Let's really examine the news, everything that we're sharing, because in a way or another, it's affecting everyone around us. And unfortunately today, you know, everyone wants to be a hero, and they want to be heard, so they can create, you know, junk content just for the sake of being, you know, famous. So we have extreme content, false information, blackmailing content. You know, unfortunately, there are people who create content just to blackmail companies, you know, and all of that. And of course, during lockdown, we have political agendas and governments who are trying to enhance their image rather than the facts themselves. Again, going back to something again Rodrigue mentioned, it's about self-reliance and the export. You know, one thing Corona taught us is that every country is extremely dependent on other countries, and during lockdowns, we're kind of getting hurt from that. So Lebanon is extremely dependent again on import. We need to build the environment that we're talking about. Encourage export, encourage, you know, more Lebanese built products, not just, you know, because there are lots of products that are made in Lebanon, but unfortunately, most of their components there are dependent on imported items. So very, very few items can be labeled as fully created and built in Lebanon. This is something that we need to do because it will, you know, save our economy as we go forward. Again, change is either a disaster or an opportunity. Unfortunately, we're in a situation that we can't control. So disaster is on our, you know, is in front of us. So we need to make an opportunity out of it. Look at the airline industry. For example, Air Canada decided to shift from all of their 3 of their airliners to, they removed all the seats and they've transformed their airline into cargo flights. You know, because there is less demand on, of course, there are no demand, you know, on passenger travel. So they're focusing on cargo because people still need to transport shipments and products. So, you know, they are in a situation, they either, you know, face the difficulties and the obstacles, or, you know, try to come up with a solution. So every industry, every one of us, I think, can do their best to push their delivery into something else, push their product into something that can adapt to the situations until things cool down. So most companies that can't survive, either they can't survive because they can't adapt their offering, they can't afford the process, or they were too slow to react. If you can't afford the process, this is unfortunate because it's just something that no one can help with. But if you can't adapt your offering and you were too slow to react, that's on you, because, you know, it's a global situation. You either need to react or it will affect you in the long run. Even just one thing we need to note, that even the most performing companies in the crisis, for example, Netflix, you know, everyone is watching Netflix. They even had added 16 million users in the last 3 months. That's like as much as they did during last year. but they will certainly face a challenge in the near future if the crisis continue, because they are built on creating original content. So if you don't have original content, if they can't produce original content, they will surely face, you know, a crisis in the near future. So even if you are performing now, you will face a crisis if you don't find a way to manage your content, your products, your services and deliverables. Again, everything that I've said, it's globally and it's in Lebanon, but unfortunately in Lebanon, it's double the trouble, you know, given the situation, because globally COVID-19 resulted in economic crashes, unemployment, and availability of resources. In Lebanon, it's all of the above, added to the worst economic crisis Lebanon has ever seen. So we have kind of the most extreme conditions that any economy could find and any business could find in order to survive and operate. So is the economic crisis not going away anytime soon? The economic crisis is not going away anytime soon. But the thing is, you as a small business, you as an individual, you as an entrepreneur, are you prepared for what's coming after COVID-19? That's actually the real question. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jimmy, for this. Yani, it's always important to turn our challenges into opportunities, as you said. And I believe that adaptation is a key to our businesses, especially that we Lebanese, we pass a lot in ups and downs. So we have this kind of resilience.
Yeah.
And we should be more used to adapt and cross challenges, overcome challenges. So thank you for this. We have many questions on Slido already. We will go through them after our presentation, our last presentation with Ms. Nadine To. So Nadine will tell us more about grants, opportunities with LEAP program. So Nadine, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jihan. Hi, everyone, and thank you for showing up today. I promise not to take much from your time since it's been a long time you're in front of your screen. So I will start my presentation. I'll share my screen. So I will be speaking about LEAP, the Lebanese Enterprise and Employment Program. The program our agenda will go overview about what is LEAP, how it works, who's eligible to apply for this grant program, and how you can apply and what we have achieved so far. So LEAP is a program funded by UK Aid and managed and implemented by Palladium Group. The program was designed in 2017 in response to the crisis we had at that time with the load of refugees Lebanon has to support, and which has affected the infrastructure of businesses and job market. So definitely a lot of crisis came along, and we try to adapt our program to keep serving the SME environment. So the main goal of the program is to first supporting SMEs to grow and to create jobs. So our main target is to reach out to 650 SMEs across Lebanon and in all sectors, and be able to create around 1,300 jobs through those supported SMEs. Our support will come in two components that were designed. The first component is a matching grant fund. The pool of the grant to support this support those businesses, it's around $8 million. In addition to that, we offer technical assistance with one-to-one coaching sessions provided complimentary to those businesses who will benefit from the grant. The second component is wage subsidies. As a commitment from UK Aid and Palladium is always to help vulnerable groups such as people with physical disabilities and vulnerable women to be integrated in workplace and help them to find a job. So this wage subsidy, it's designed to support this cause. So I'll speak about component one, what it offers to SMEs. It offers a matching grant that can reach up to 50% of the investment of the business or in their growth plan. So this matching can come either the business have a matching for a business loan that the company has taken from a financial institution, that it ranges between $8,000 to $75,000, or currently during this the last two crises in Lebanon, the economic crisis and the COVID, we are launching effective May any business that is doing private investments or through self or equity financing to benefit and to apply for the matching grant. Enabled to reach this 50% matching grant, this depends on how much the business will create the job opportunities. We'll come to this later. In addition to the matching grant, we offer 10 sessions of business development services that will come on coaching session one-to-one through many consulting partners that we contracted with them to give these services to SMEs in 4 areas: the business growth plan, where they help them to validate and fine-tune their business plans; finance and operation, where we help businesses, our grantees, to have better financial resourcing in their company, better budgeting or cash flow management, or even improve their business operations. They can choose having HR support to have better structure and in even helping in job recruitment, or access to market, how to identify new markets, going through new sales channels, or developing new sales and marketing plans. We are also committed during the implementation of component one to make sure that we reach out to women SMEs and SMEs that managed by people with disabilities, and even create job creations for these vulnerable groups. We take into consideration gender equality and social inclusion in the implementation of the program and while we are supporting SMEs. And for the job creation, we make sure that the business owner implement good work safety and safeguarding for the workers in the workplace. We help them, we give them a recommendation how to enhance the employees' conditions, especially when we are talking in rural areas, in agriculture, in certain businesses where their employees are exposed to high risk. The component two, we created this component to make inclusion for people with disability in workplace. So here we target any SME that is ready to hire people from vulnerable group by giving them HR inclusive sessions, how to accommodate and integrate those people in the workplace. And we offer as well a hiring subsidies that can reach up to 80% of the salary of the recruited candidate for the first 3 months of employment. In addition to that, we help them to do job matching. So we have a partner that we work with that have a database of people with disability, and any business that is ready to recruit people with disability or women from vulnerable group, we can do job matching, selection, recruitment for those candidates with them, and we support with the hiring subsidy for the first period, including the inclusive HR. So how it works, okay, first, as SME, you can be in any sector, as I mentioned before, or working in any sector and anywhere in Lebanon. The first, you need either you have taken a loan up to $75,000, that loan, and since December 2018. This one, the addition we did due to the crisis when the banks stopped lending.
Nadine?
Yes, sorry, I'm back. Hi, Jihan, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I will stop my video. Maybe it's better for the connection.
Okay, you want to try running it?
I am, okay, 1 second. I'm trying to, the host has asked you, okay, start my video. Okay, I'm here again. Can you see me?
We can see you and the slide, but not the video.
Okay, but I'm seeing, okay, my video is on. Let me. Shall I continue?
We can see you. We can see your video.
Okay, 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 great. So, okay, so first the business need to take a loan or have taken a loan since December 2018. Before we were working with fresh loans, but due to the in existence, if we want to say now, of financing options. So we give this opportunity to any SMEs that didn't apply before to our grant and have taken a loan after December 2018. And this loan ceiling was only up to $75,000, can still apply for our grant and benefit from it. The new option that we are launching today, if the company doesn't have a loan and want to do a self-investments, either this investment by self-financing or by equity financing, or started this investment in January 2020, can apply for the grant as well. So we have these two options. So, if the company have one of these options, the SME, first it can benefit from the essential package grant, which is equal to 20% of their investment. For example, if the investment is $40,000, so 20% is $8,000, the company we can receive from as essential grant. This essential grant will be used as a top up of the investment that the company have been doing or is doing right now, to be used to do additional investment in their business. So we cover the additional investment by this $8,000 or 20%. If the loan is 75, it will be 20% of the $75,000 or the equity investment. I want to just highlight, if the equity investment is higher than 75,000, we just go to 75,000 as ceiling. So definitely the 20% first grant cannot be to finance working capital needs. We, in few conditions, we reconsider these options, the case by case. And the grant budget could not be spent definitely on luxury items, tobacco, alcohol, drugs, and pesticides that are on the World Health Organization list. The second thing the company will benefit immediately is the 10 sessions of coaching one-to-one. It will be done on the SME premises, and it can go from 2 to 3 months. These coaching sessions are provided by business coach experts, companies that we partnered with, and they will understand your main problem in the 4 topic areas that we mentioned earlier, and they will help you to overcome these obstacles. The second grant, you will not be granted this second part of the grant, which can reach up to 30% of your investment unless you create jobs. So for the loans or investments that are below 42,000, if you create 1 job, you receive 15%, and if you create 2 jobs, you receive 30%. So 20% as essential grant and 30% as employment grant, your total grant will be 50% if you create those jobs. For loan investments that are or investments that are between $42,000 or $75,000, you need to create. If you create 2 to 3 jobs, you receive 15%. If you create 4 jobs, you receive the 30%. I want to mention here that the jobs criteria could be part-time or full-time. Part-time, it should cover 20 hours a week for the period of 3 months. And we are looking for businesses that sustain those jobs at least for 3 months. It could be seasonal jobs or part-time jobs. Who's eligible to apply for LEAP? First, definitely the business need to have either the investment that's done starting January, or will be doing the investment now, or have taken a loan in the previous period. And if they have access to a loan currently, we will definitely take it into consideration as well. But we can go backward to December 2018 for the loans. The Lebanese should be, the company should be Lebanese owned and operating in Lebanon. It should have a clear plan to hire new employees, at least 1 job, within 3 months of the grant agreement signature. It could be working in any sector except alcohol and tobacco. Here for the alcohol, I want to mention the company can be providing alcohol service or producing alcohol, but it should not be all around alcohol production. She's willing definitely to cooperate with our team and to receive the business development services because they are complementary but mandatory from our end, and abide by gender equality and decent work conditions for laborers. And definitely we don't work with businesses that are below 16 or 18 years old. And the loan or the private investment should be directed toward growth-oriented plan. I put this slide to show you that many of these category of businesses have been applied to LEAP and received support to implement different type of growth in their businesses. So it could be ranging from a farmer to a IT business or creative businesses or light industries or food processing. How to apply for LEAP? So first you need to check if you are eligible. The eligibility criteria that I just mentioned. We have an application form that I will share with you later on that you need to fill. You need to submit some supporting documents. We'll mention them later. To us by email. Once we receive those applications, one of our officers will schedule a visit to your premises. Now under quarantine, we're trying to do those things remotely, but definitely when things operation resume, we will conduct the visits. After the visit, we do internal scoring and you get the approval. If you get the approval, we sign a grant agreement with you where we agreed what we will, kind of activity will support you with it, with the grant. And you start implementing your business plan and receiving your technical sessions immediately. And you have the potential here now to create and start hiring if you are ready to hire. If you are not ready, you can wait for 2 to 3 months till you make the first investments and check the potential of hiring. Accordingly, you purchase the goods or services that you agreed on in the grant agreement, submit for us the receipts, and within 30 working days, you received your check, the first reimbursement of a special grant. Once you start hiring, our team collect the relevant data related to hiring, and after 3 months of sustaining the job, you get rewarded for the second grant, which is the employment grant. This is 4 easy steps, and our process doesn't take a lot of time. We make sure that within 6 months, by maximum, you received your full grant and your full business development services. From the application time to the grant approval, it takes less than a month to have this process completed. Some of the required document, as I mentioned earlier, we have LEAP application form, and it's available in English and Arabic version. We require a small business plan to, regarding the expansion that the company or the plans that the company are gonna implement right now. For the financing, we need, in case the business has taken a loan, we need a proof of the loan from the bank that shows either statement of account of loan or disbursement papers that shows the amount that the company has been taken, or and the period. In case of private financing, we need the bank statement that shows where the funds are coming from, and this is required to do our due diligence because we make sure that we don't support businesses that deal with the money laundering or terrorism as part of the DFID strategy. In case of equity financing, we require who are the entity that doing this equity or have done this equity financing, and the paper of this organization. We require definitely the invoices of what things are purchased to understand that the activity has been done and how it's been done, the use of the financing and the grants. So till today, definitely the first year we partnered with a lot of financial institutions that we used to support most of their beneficiary, and later on we opened to any banks or a financial institution that has given a loan to an SME. Our main partner was BLC Bank, ESFD, Economic Social Fund for Development, and microfinance institutions such as LD, المجموعة. Still we support SMEs, so we still have room to support a lot of SMEs. So feel free to apply and to ask more questions that you have. You need to verify if you are eligible. We have distributed till today in value for essential grant $817,000, and in advanced grant, we mean advanced grant employment grant $850,000. We were able to validate 313 jobs till today that are created and sustained for more than 3 months. And we have in the planning the jobs that to be created 553. So we have our SMEs average job creation is 3.1 that we are supported till today, and we have offered till today 1,222 BTS sessions. You can know more about our program on our social media platforms, on our website, LEAP Lebanon. On the website as well, we have a pre-application where you can send us a pre-application and we can contact you to help you through the application form. You can reach out definitely through our social media platform, Facebook and Twitter. And we launched our YouTube channel where we are posting videos more about the program. This is it for now. We're looking definitely to support SMEs in this difficult time. I understand that many SMEs don't see a room for growth but any activity that need now to relaunch business and to put anything back on track that require any small investment, we are ready to support it, and we are ready to work with each SME case by case to provide the needed support within this difficult time. So thank you so much for listening. I want to thank Jihan and Beritech and QOOT for always giving us the opportunity to reach out to great audience and SMEs and to tell them about our grant program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nadine, for this. And I believe we need this grants opportunities now while we are facing the situation. So also I believe some of the participants have questions for you and for the other speakers. So I'll try to share my screen to start seeing Slido to go through the questions.
Jihan, if I may,
Yes.
may I just intervene for 1 second?
Sure, please go ahead.
I know that SMEs are going through the extremely rough times, especially nowadays. And looking even at the questions, you realize that some of the questions are extremely tactical in terms of, like, is the funding in fresh money or is it based on what exchange rate? So you kind of get from these questions, you kind of get the true struggle that they are facing, you know, on top of not getting enough support. So first, I'm thankful for Rodrigue and Nadine to provide, you know, all of these platforms to help SMEs in these times of crisis. But I want to just throw in an additional supporting hand. You know, we're available also to advise and support SMEs, at least from a practical point of view, in terms of, you know, sharing our business know-how and our operation. And I'm here putting on the supermarket hat, because most of these, you know, SMEs are directly related to, you know, the agri-tech, you know, and the food industry. So through you, Jihan, and I think I will leave it through Beritech and QOOT Cluster, if any of the SMEs would need any support in terms of advice, support, maybe exposure, maybe help them, you know, find extra audience in terms of visibility on our premises as well. If it helps, we're here and we're available. You know, in this hard time, you know, we have to all stick together and help, especially the smaller businesses, you know, survive.
Great, perfect. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for this opportunity. So please, whoever wants to connect with Jimmy, he can do it through me if you want, or I can share with you later Jimmy's contacts. My email is jihan.shahla@beritech.org. I'll put it in the chat box also. So in case anyone would like to reach out to me later on, you can use this email. So thank you so much, dear panelists, for this great information you just shared with us. To go through the first question that we have in our Slido platform. So is there a unified platform for international buyers to have access to local Lebanese agri-food companies? If not, then that would be a great idea. I don't know if any one of you would like to answer this question, but from my side, yeah, I believe it would be a great idea. There's small initiatives. Also, Yusuf just answered that maybe madeinlebanon.com is under construction right now.
Yeah, exactly. There is a few websites who are working on this, but he asked me again if there was something that connect bulk products to supermarket chains abroad, and there's nothing that I can think of, no. Unless you want to target each company straight knocking on the door of a company. But there's no one platform that unites and sell bulk products internationally, not yet.
Maybe it's a good idea to start thinking of it. It's right. And maybe later on we can, after the questions, we can open the floor to everyone to better maybe explain, or to if anyone else has like inputs to add. So now we will just answer those questions. For Dr. Rodrigue, are the seeds from Lebanon or imported?
Well, actually, I would like to start by thanking both Jimmy and Nadine for their insights and for the for shedding the light on this on the efforts they're doing to alleviate the effect of this of the crisis we're currently facing. Actually, usually the seeds are imported. They're imported from foreign companies, but what we import are the F1, which are the result, the first generation of the pure bloods. Okay, so we need to import the F1s each and every year. That's the problem if you to set it this way. Now, what we tried doing last year, actually, we've conducted a study with our students on tomato seeds in Lebanon. So tomato is not a heirloom; it's not a local variety. Okay, but what we tried to do with our students is to go to farmers and get their own seeds that they have been using from year to year, because year after year, because as you know, some of them are not capable of buying new seeds every year. So we have also tried. We have made a trial and compared the efficiencies of different imported and local breeds. And what was really exciting is that local breeds, local between brackets, have done very well. So there is a chance for them. They may not produce as much as imported breeds could produce, but however, what they need in fertilizers and pesticides are less, because they had their time to get their to become more and more in sync with their environment. So it is very possible, and we need to start using our own seeds.
Okay, so Patricia asked this question. I really hope that Dr. Rodrigue answered you. If not, please add your question, as well as for the other participants. If you have any additional questions, you can go to slido.com and add the number of 63261. Moving to the other question from Rami Boujoude. He's saying that amazing 4-H innovation program, how can this be spread across the country, and what's needed?
Okay, so actually Rami and us, we've been having these fights side to side to start changing the mindset. The main problem is the need to change the mindset within academia, within classical academia, and within the donors communities, because it's very important that the collaborative activities, they need to take place. And so it's very important for the academicians to change their mindset, instead of just doing research, to do applied research, okay? As needed by the local environment, and which would be in sync with the current situation, with the changes, with the dire situation we're actually facing. And from the donors' point of view, for quite a while now, they have been they were reluctant in collaborating through their projects with academia, because their experience is that academia is only made for research. So what's really interesting through the last 3 or 4 years, which we experienced with Rami and Beritech, that this mindset is starting to change with many programs, with many other universities, and with many donors. So we're really on the right track right now. And the work we started with Beritech and now with QOOT, we need to continue it. And I believe that through the current situation, we will be moving a lot faster in this direction.
If I may add, the link is extremely important between you know, academia and the real world.
Sure.
But we need to also take it a step further, because from my end, I always see ideas, you know, facing some obstacles when they come out and become real products. Some of the obstacles are, you know, some of the lack of reality in measuring, you know, the consumer behavior. You know, sometimes a product could be, you know, an amazing, the most perfect solution, is just too expensive for Lebanon, or just you know, it's an eco-friendly product, you know, in a situation where people don't care about the environment. So sometimes, you know, you have the right product, but just the circumstances don't support, you know, the growth of that product. So let's just, for the SMEs, let's just make sure that whenever you are ready to inject that product into the market, just take into consideration the economic and, you know, the obstacles that you're facing, because most businesses will, you know, find this obstacle, and sometimes it's easily overcome. You know, just cut on your profits for the first year and just launch that product. You know, just make sure that you reach as much people as possible. You know, that's one thing. And again, Dr. Rodrigue, if you need any support, you know, in just testing the ground from a commercial point of view on this, we have lots of benchmarks that we can help you, you know, for your studies, so that you know how to benchmark in real life the appetite for people for these products, because we need more Lebanese products. We need more made in Lebanon services. Just one of the problems is that we are extremely dependent on, again, imported raw material as much as imported products themselves.
Definitely. Thank
Jimmy,
you, Jimmy.
Jimmy, I totally agree with you. It has to be a bottom-up approach through the agri-food value chain. We need to see the needs, to study the needs of the consumers, and then provide tailored solutions. And I thank you. I really thank you for your support, because actually I've only talked about our collaboration with QOOT, but what we're doing right now is that we're involved in many projects with international donors, and the budgets are increasing with every project. And the only way we're entering these projects is through this collaboration. So I totally agree with you with the importance of such work.
Yeah, exactly. And this is one of main services, which is to matchmake between the Lebanese companies and to encourage them to work more and more between them. So moving to our next question. This one, it was related to the first one. Then we move to Rana Abdo. She's asking, we are working on a smart agri-food product packaging. Can I have the contact of the concerned person at University of Balamand?
Sure, no problem.
Of course, and you can do this through QOOT too. We can we can put you in contact with the right parties there, with Dr. Rodrigue as well.
If you like, we can, after we discuss your needs, we can set up the right team, because when you talk about smart agriculture or smart product packaging, it needs a multidisciplinary approach. So we need people from the agri-food sector, people from the computer sector. So we can set up a team and a meeting, no problem there, through QOOT.
Great. So also a question to Dr. Rodrigue. Would the Balamand University be interested in financing a new business in the agri-food sector?
Well, actually, as you know, universities are non-profit organizations, so we don't do this kind of work. We don't provide this kind of projects. However, we are partners in many projects, and if you're in the region of our work, it would be very interesting for us to show you how to enter projects and give you the support we can. No problem there.
I just want to add here, within LEAP program, we can support a newly established business. So if But definitely we don't do the financing, the whole part of financing. We do the grant on top of the financing that the company gonna be doing. So even newly started companies can apply for LEAP as long as they fulfill the eligibility criteria. As well, we are supporting formal and non-formal SMEs. So if you are not registered yet, or you are in the process of setting up the company, so you can apply for our grant.
Cool. So moving to the next question, are the resources of the Balamand School of Agriculture open for the public? How can farmers in Akkar or in other locations get into above the seedlings produced?
Yes, certainly. This is a very important part of our work, because when we settled in Akkar like 8 years ago, people thought we were crazy, that Balamand was doing a very bad investment. But what we really wanted to do is to assert the mission of the University of Balamand of development, of community development. So definitely these projects we're doing in collaboration with other stakeholders are for the farmers, are for the agri-food value chain. So definitely it's open for you and for any other farmer or SME. And you can contact me directly or through QOOT, no problem there. And we can set up meetings, no problem.
Great. Dr. Rodrigue also. Municipalities with, okay. Municipalities in North Bekaa who have low resources, capacities to lead on these tasks, how would you suggest donor-funded projects could support them?
Okay, Joanna, it's true that municipalities usually they suffer from major problems, especially on the level of financing. However, they have a very important edge, which is they know the region, they know the people, and they speak their language, between brackets. So it's very important to collaborate with municipalities. Now, the major problem, and I'm trying not to be blunt, the major problem with many projects is that they do the same work over and over again. When we work with farmers or with the small producers, the problem we have is that they always tell us that this kind or that kind of training, we have done it for many, many times before. So what's really important is to have a clear idea before setting the call for proposals. So a clear idea about the region, what is really needed, okay, to be done by impartial institutions, okay, such as universities, but not only limited to universities, so that the projects would be in collaboration with municipalities, and with other stakeholders, but which would not overlap with other projects. On this level, especially in rural areas, there are many fresh graduates and graduates from schools of agriculture from Balamand and from other universities that usually leave their homelands to go to Beirut or to go abroad. So this would be an important opportunity for donors and for NGOs and INGOs to work with them in order to set up micro studies related to the region of the municipality, and then provide them with work opportunities, with job opportunities to implement these projects.
Okay, so we move to Noor's question. When saying we need to produce basic products, this can only be done in a year's time, if not more. What can be done now to follow changing consumer behavior?
Well, if I may answer this one, I think the best solution nowadays, and if there's one trend that we've noticed during this crisis, way before Corona, even a few months before Corona, that people want cheap products and we need fast, efficient delivery of these products. So unfortunately, we are in a crisis mode. And in crisis, we don't have the luxury of time to wait for the perfect product. So if you have any service or if you have any product that you are developing, even if it's not, you don't need to wait until it's a really superb product. Have your service out there in the cheapest way, in the fastest way possible. Because if you don't put it out there, someone else will. It's a very tough and challenging market. So if you have something out there, just make sure you put it out there in the fastest and the most cheapest way, because people are challenged today in their economy, so they can't afford luxury items, at least not now, at least not the trends are not showing this anymore.
Sure. So Noor, I hope that Jimmy answered your question. Moving to the other one, this is a question for Nadian. Does the grant consist of fresh money, especially that we needed to buy imported assets, and this will disrupt the planned growth?
Okay. In truth, yes, it is fresh money, because what we do for how our program works is that when we budget for that we need to pay grants for those pool of SMEs for this month. So we send and the money comes from outside. This is why we need the 30 days to make the budget and receive the money. So it's not in the Lebanese banks and considered as the money that's not fresh. But with the banks currently till today, but we are trying to find a solution with them, or find solution for businesses to pay the raw material. We're still working on that if they want to pay outside, but because of due diligence and certain DFID and palladium rules, we're working on that, but our money is fresh. It's not in the country currently. We budget for each month how much grant and we get the dollars fresh in the country. But the banks, when they are doing the check to be given to the beneficiary, because from our account they are not considering it fresh. This is why we are working on the solution right now to be considered as fresh, but it is a fresh dollars.
Okay, another question related to the value of the USD.
Okay, the value, now we pay our grants in dollar, in USD. So the bank should pay in USD, but we know now with the banks, I don't want to assume anything. Every day we have different things happening, different measures being taken.
Well, I can assure you it's going to be hard to pay in USD, unfortunately.
Yes, before many of the SMEs that lately after before COVID, we were working with, they wanted to buy things for us, and we made the roundtable, and they suggest if we can transfer the money directly from our London to their suppliers outside. We are considering these options. They are not active yet, but we do understand that the value of the grant, it will be very well diminished if it's taken of things happening right now. But we do, our finance team is working on that, and hopefully we'll have something clear very shortly.
Nadine, may I ask you a question related to that? Are you able to pay directly from to outside suppliers for for your SMEs from, I don't know, I'm just throwing anything, from bank accounts outside the Lebanon?
This is what we are trying to work on right now, because before our program has been running for the last 3 years, so and now we still have 1 year to finalize the implementation of this grant. So these conditions when the program was established didn't exist. But even many of the things I introduced today, we did a lot of adaptation to move with the changing factors in the market. And this dollar things, we are trying to solve it, but a lot of the due diligence and compliance need to be taken. It's not that easy, but we are considering it. We are considering it seriously, and we are working with our donor and with our Palladium office in UK to find a suitable way to do that. This is why we keep, when we start the discussion with the SME who applied for the grant, we check what, if they need the money here, there, and we're trying, but still it's not active yet because our finance team and the due diligence team are working on that.
Sure.
Okay, moving to the next question from Imad Riashi. Hi, Imad. Imad saying that thank you for the interesting presentations. A question about LEAP grant also. It's considered as fresh money by the banks.
By the bank till now not, but we are working on it since our money is fresh.
Also for Nadine, is private finance an amount that the startup has already invested starting Jan 2020, or does it take into account the future investment plan?
It could be both. It could be both. If the startup received money in January 2020 and start implementing the financing, the plan, we can take this into consideration. If they want to do further investments, we can work on the future investments.
Okay. So Imad also is saying that RMF, René Mawad Foundation, is working on developing a platform with the Ministry of Economy and Trade aimed towards exports of fresh and processed products. So for the clarifications, we are stronger together if we can tackle B2B buyers in a unified effort in the absence or weakness of role of the government. Anyone would like to comment? Exactly, this is true. This is very true. We really hope to reach this. We can do this. From Lara, Dr. Lara, I believe that food scientists should have a stronger role in government policy and contingency planning to ensure the resilience of the food supply chain.
Definitely. I totally agree, Dr. Lara, who is a very, very good friend. Actually, lately we have been involved in some sort of collaboration between the different agriculture schools in Lebanon, and we have provided, as asked by the Ministry of Agriculture. So we have provided a joint feuille de route. Now we're not sure if it led anywhere or if it's taken into consideration, but I'm sure it's being discussed or proposed right now. What would be even more interesting is to have some sort of a lobby group. Okay, this is something that we also discussed with QOOT lately. It's very important for this lobby to provide the right information for the government to take the right decisions and provide the right support. So I totally agree with Dr. Lara. Academia needs to be involved in the decision-making process on the governmental level.
So also Dr. Lara is adding that we all agree that we have to improve local food production and exportation to address current challenges. What is important is to reinforce safe food practices. So she's asking Dr. Rodrigue, Jimmy, Nadine, how can we all together contribute in the recovery of the food sector in view of both crises?
Who would like to start?
Well, if I may,
from the bottom up, for the consumer.
It's my answer is really not answer. My contribution is really controversial, because one thing I would tell you is try and stop or limit the government intervention with the private sector. One of the things that we're facing, especially lately for the past year or 6 months or even 3 months or even during the pandemic, that we have seen draft laws being made, are trying to be passed on that really put a threat on the private sector as we know it, and the contribution of private companies. And this country is built on private companies and the private sector. So it's we're threading into dangerous territory. So unless we stand stronger, as a private sector, as entrepreneurs, be it small or big, we are going to be facing a big threat that we haven't seen coming yet.
Okay.
From our end, and from at least LEAP program, definitely I would love to have a session with Rajik and Jimmy and think of things way together if we can collaborate between our three programs. But definitely we are supporting a lot of food companies, farmers across Lebanon, in Akka region, in Bekaa, in North, in South, even in Matan. To scale, most of the interventions that they send to us in the grant agreement that they want is mainly towards moving to better farming, better gardening, and and better products. And our BDS help them to implement this in a better way. So. But you need a whole ecosystem to make things work perfectly. It's not just one initiative.
If I may say, I think it's extremely important to collaborate between donors or NGOs such as UKAID and academia for two major reasons. The first reason is that for our students, for our graduates, who are not only from Balamand, but from every School of Agriculture in Lebanon. Most of them are, their origins are from rural areas. So what we need to do right now is to help them once they graduate, to teach them, just like the projects we have done with Berry Tech, to help them not only teach them the pure academic know-how, but also the entrepreneurial know-how through hackathons and the whole projects we've done together with Berry Tech, and provide them with the technical support in order for them to go back to their original regions and start their own startups or companies. We really need young people and people who really know what to do and how to do it. We need to inject them again in the agricultural sector, and we need to help them to go back to the rural areas through projects such as the LEAP project. Now, on the second level, the schools of agriculture can also help out with the recovery through shifting or through pivoting the proposed research projects. As you know, our students need to make their final year project. So we need to pivot it and redirect it from classical research to really applied research, and to be real case studies that could be eventually proposed as projects to be eventually granted some sort of grants.
Okay, so moving to a startup question for private finance startups. What if the startup has invested in 2018 and started operating in 2020? Does 2018 investments count, Nadim?
Okay, she clarified that she meant 2019 in the next message.
Yeah.
I just want to mention, before our program were operating only for business who are getting financing through loans from financial institutions. So when the financial institutions stopped giving loans, so we extended for people who have taken loans since December 2018. The new adaptations that you are launching now, and this is the first time we speak about in this webinar, so it's for people who are doing self-investments or money from their own money. So this is why we gave extension who started in January, since For so small tweaks, I prefer that the person get in touch with me personally, and I will need to check some facts to check if we can accept this case. It will fall under our eligibility. Because, you know, sometimes 1 month back and 1 month forth, I don't want to look and yes or no. We need to look into the whole framework of the business, what they are going to do in their project right now. And so I will not give a straight offer, but please, Jihan will share my email and contact, so feel free to reach out to me and we can discuss it on one-to-one.
Sure. So thank you so much. Panelists, do you want to add anything?
Well, just a big thanks to you guys for the immense work you've been doing. And well, it's a long way ahead. And we're going to need every help we can get, and local help and private help. I'm not sure about the public help if it will come. So all we have is each other. And to me, that's more than enough.
Jimmy, Rodrigue, Yusuf, and all the panelists, it was a pleasure meeting you virtually. And definitely, I want to thank again Jihan and QOOT for putting us all together in this really very enlightening and informative sessions. I was really happy to listen about what Balamand, Rodrigue, QOOT, and they are doing together. It's a really very inspiring project, and we're ready to support in any way possible. Jimmy, thank you really for all the information and putting all your talents and your capacity to SMEs. We are all here in it together. So thank you so much for this, and please feel free to reach out anytime.
Likewise, thank you, Nadine.
Okay, for the
thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Just again, please, Jihan, let me know if anyone needs to reach out, if we can help in any way, be it for the SMEs or the participants in here. There are so many ways, you know, that maybe we can help to push or get them exposure. If we can, then that's answering the question, how can we do to improve the food sector? You know, a bit of collaboration from each one of us maybe could help, you know.
Thank you so much. Yeah, exactly. So for the participants who are still with us, if anyone would like to share with us his inputs, you can share your hand and you can unmute your mic. So if anyone, Shaheen will be supporting in this. So meanwhile, I really want to thank you all, dear panelists, dear participants. I hope you enjoyed this webinar. As I said previously, this webinar is done repeatedly and on a monthly basis. Where we host national and international speakers covering different topics related to the innovation in the agri-food sector. I really hope that the next one, we will be able to do it in a physical place. So we will be able to meet all together and not to e-meet anymore, because meeting each other is, in my opinion, it's much better, and it facilitates the interaction, the connections and everything. So I really hope that this lockdown will end so soon. So there's a raised hand, Shaheen. Nadine Khoui raised her hand.
Yes. Hi. I would like to thank you all. Super, very interesting webinar. I think this is the QOOT mission and vision, how to think in a disruptive way. It's a pity that we cannot repeat it 100 times. So maybe Jihan and Yusuf and all the board will ask your advice one more time to repeat this webinar, maybe in a different way. But for most of our members or the one who couldn't today register, to listen to it, because we need to think as Jimmy said, and Dr. Rodrigue, and Nadine, and Joseph, and Jihan, we need to really think in a different way, in a disruptive way to survive and to sustain. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadine. Thank you for your intervention. You can, so as I said previously also, this presentation was registered. I will share it with the participants later on, along with some materials from Nadine and the contacts of Jimmy and Rodrigue. For the other events, you can always follow us on QOOT website, QOOT.org, or on our QOOT LinkedIn page to stay up to date on our events, our next events. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Nice meeting you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.